Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another review based on a comment which came in. That will pop up somewhere above my head. We're going to be going into the base icon Drogba. We're going to go through stats, traits, clips, summary, all that good stuff. Before we get into all of that, if I could ask you guys to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when I upload, and comment down below who you guys would like me to review next. I got a bunch of reviews in the last video. Please do chuck more in there guys. We've got a whole list to get through and we're going to keep rattling through them. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So guys, this is the team that I used Didier Drogba in. I played him in a striker in a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. First impressions of this card, guys, he is an absolute nuisance up front. Really fun card to use in that regard, but there's a lot of sloppy parts to his game, and we'll get into that more as we go into the stats. But overall, did I enjoy using this card? Not really, guys. Not as much as Shevchenko, Van Basten, or Larson. I thought all three of those cards were better than this card, but we'll get into that, and maybe that's just down to my playstyle, guys. But I digress. We'll get into it further here. 6'2" in height, so a good height, high work rate, so there's a problem right there. He's tracking back too much. His positioning is sometimes very off, and that's very frustrating with this card as well. Right-footed, 4-star skill moves, and 4-star weak foot. 5 games played, 9 goals scored, and no assists. Now, guys, there's something here to note, is that the weak foot is 4-star, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels weaker than that, especially when it comes to finishing. I know in the clips you'll see a lot of left-footed finishes, but for me, his left foot let me down a lot, and for me, I don't think that weak foot is as strong as it should be. In terms of chemistry style, guys, I tried a Hawk, Hunter, Engine, whole bunch of stuff there, but nothing really worked for me in terms of getting the best out of this card. I even tried Engine on him as well. Overall, guys, I just feel like I struggled with this card, really, and although it plays to my playstyle and that I like bigger, stronger strikers, it really was hard to use for me as well. Now guys, right now of course the stats are taking a hit. In the team he was playing in CM, which was then moved up to striker, so his stats will have been boosted entirely. In fact, if I just move him back across to there and go back in again, then you guys can see exactly what that chemistry style was doing for him. In terms of the key pros of this card, guys, I would say the strength is the main one. 91 strength. Now I don't know if players take on traits from real life, but the nuisance trait would definitely apply to this card. The way he just bustles around in the middle of the defense, just bumping people over or taking the ball or just getting in the way of stuff, it really is fantastic. That's a real strength. I think it comes down to his strength factor. Really nice there having that. His shot power is decent as well. It's not great, but it's usable. And guys, I think actually another pro of this card is the short passing. Now I know it says 71 there. I felt like his passing was really good. I don't know why. He made a lot of nice passes for me, a lot of through balls, a lot of clean passes. So there's something in there, guys, that's boosting his passing stat. And it wasn't just the engine chem stat. He played well without it as well. May have just been the way I was playing today, but there's something as well in there. In terms of cons, guys, now I'm going to put his heading in there. Now, although his heading stat is very good, and he is very good at the headers, he doesn't challenge enough for them, and I think that's maybe also down to his attack positioning is a little lower than it seems on the card. That's a real factor for me as well. In terms of his finishing and composure, not good enough for me, guys. A real weakness there as well in terms of just being able to finish easy chances. A lot of the misses you'll see, I think, are very easy chances for a striker to put away, and I would have put away with other strikers. And finally, guys, the other key con is his stamina. 82 stamina, high work rates does not work well together. He's tracking back a lot, and by the end of the game, he is absolutely dead. So that's something to bear in mind for this card, guys. Getting to the traits, he has the long shot taker. I did take some long shots with him, wasn't really too impressed with it. The power header trait, again, because he doesn't really win headers, which is surprising for me. I didn't really get a chance to win many headers with this card, off the corners especially as well. For some reason, he just didn't really get in front of the man or position himself well on those corners. And the flair trait, they're all nice traits to have. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to see the benefits of the main two that would have been important to me. The flair trait is always nice to have on any player, so that's there for you to consider as well. And finally, in terms of the icon profile, this is when he was at Marseille in 2003, the start of his career, baby icon, of course, so I will leave you guys to read that in your own time. And without further ado, we're going to get into some of the clips. Let's head to the tape. So guys, getting into some of Didier Drogba's clips here, and what you guys are going to see is what I like to call a brilliant nuisance in both how he plays against people and how he plays for you, in that he plays really well at causing troubles for the opposition defense and then will do something completely and utterly stupid in terms of his play. Now, that's not to say it's all bad, guys. He does have a lot of great traits, and one of them, surprisingly, when you put the right chemistry style on him, was his passing. I was really surprised with his link-up play. He was able to pass the ball really well, keep things tight, and create a number of chances for all his teammates as well. But what does offset that, guys, is the fact that you have a striker here, and as you guys will keep seeing from all these clips, a striker who misses a lot of easy chances, or does things like that where he blasts the ball over the goal. I don't know where that one was going in the end. I would say, guys, that his shots are very powerful. He does create good opportunities for himself, just even though he doesn't have great agility or balance either. He does have a heck of a lot of strength, and that allows you to hold off centre backs, which makes things easier in terms of just bullying past them and getting yourself through on goal. One other thing I would mention, guys, about his shooting before we start to see some of his goal scoring clips is that the card says he has 4-star weak foot. Now, for me, I thought that was low. I didn't think it was a true reflection of his weak foot, and you guys have seen from a number of clips there that his weak foot does tend to let him down quite a bit, especially in finishing positions. He often fluffed chances to put away easy goals for me, and that was something that was really frustrating because I expect more from a Didier Drogba card. And although this is only the base icon card, it's an 87 rated card, it's not a cheap card, you know, it's over 600k. I would be expecting him to score a lot more on that weak foot as well. Guys, one final point that I want to mention about the negatives of this card before we get into some of the pros is his heading. He only scored one headed goal for me. Now, I know heading is a little bit funny this year on this game, but for me, a Drogba card should really be fantastic at powerful shots and heading, and he just didn't really do the heading part that well for me, guys. He really struggled in terms of just getting headers on target or just winning them, even over smaller centre-backs such as Koundé or other players like Delaney. Guys, now we're going to get into some of the goals, and you guys are going to see some of the great finish that he had. I would have expected this card to put away all of these chances. I wouldn't say that these were particularly difficult chances for him to put away. I like all the other strikers that have gone previously, whether that's Larson, Shevchenko, or indeed Van Basten. I would have expected all these chances to go in, and maybe some of these chances have benefited from his great strength. You guys will see there that he slips through some nice gaps and gets himself into good positions using that strength, and therefore creates easy chances for himself again. But it's not ideal when you have a striker who can't slot away chances which are further than that 18-yard line. You need someone who can slot them in a little better than that. Now, guys, of course, there are some very good finishes in. You can see there that low finish there, the easy goal there for him, but there are a couple of nice finishes. I just wish that the finishing had been a little more consistent, maybe out to about 25 yards. I think that would have been a nice range to have this card in from. I don't think he was a worse striker than that, although he was a good fox in the box. In this final clip here, guys, you're just going to see a lovely, the only header that I scored with him, right over the keeper into the back of the net. So, guys, getting into the final Didier Drogba summary here. The 87 rated card. Now, on the face of it, his stats aren't that great. 88 pace, 87 shooting, 80 dribbling, 86 physical, and 71 passing. For what you're paying for, 618 on the PlayStation and 650 on the Xbox, 668 on the PC. It's a lot to pay for a card that you may not get necessarily what you are expecting this card to deliver to you. Again, guys, the key pro of this card, the 91 strength, really fantastic in that department. And the short passing, really underrated on this card. I do think the link-up play is better on this card than the stat would suggest. In terms of cons, his composure really does let him down, guys. He missed a lot of easy chances. You saw that in the clips. And that was something that will continue to burden you if you do buy this striker. Overall, guys, the other thing that is really disappointing is just his general movement. I think his agility and balance being in the 70s really does affect this card in terms of how clunky he feels on the ball. Really is something to think about. Finally, the 4-star weak foot, really a letdown as well. I do think it's weaker than that. I think it's around 3-star. Maybe that's because of his composure that gets pulled down so much, but it really is poor in that sense too. One thing I wanted to mention again, guys, which I did mention at the start of the video, but again, to really stress it, is the high work rates. With 82 stamina, 1, his positioning is affected with those work rates, and 2, your stamina will be dead by the end of the game. So please do bear that in mind when thinking about getting this card as well. In terms of similar players, now stat-wise, there's not... I mean, there's a couple of players, maybe Lukaku is quite similar to him, but in terms of playstyle, there really isn't someone who's got the same combination of body type and stats that he does. Lukaku is, of course, a lot bigger than he is. He's probably most comparable to 89 Drogba. No. He's probably not comparable to anyone else that I would say easily in this game. I mean, Lukaku is the closest comparison stat-wise there. Finally, in terms of linkability, of course, guys, you've got a bunch of links that you can put with this card. You, of course, can link him through the leagues as well to a couple of places, especially in Ligue 1 and the Premier League. So there's some options there, but overall, the linkability not great. You will get mostly weak links with this card as well. In terms of my recommendation to buy, guys, I think this card is certainly better than Andrei Shevchenko. I do not think it's better than Marco van Basten. I do not think it's better than Henrik Larsson, whose position I have really softened on as a result of using those other three as well. I think in that order it would be, for me, Larsson, Van Basten, Drogba, this Drogba, and then Shevchenko. Of course, the prime Drogba is a totally different story, much better card, but if we're comparing them to other strikers in the sort of same price bracket, then for me that is where he sits in that ranking. Hope you guys did enjoy this review. If you did, please do smash that like button, and until next time, I'll see you all in a bit.